Please raise your hand. We'll take a mic to you. Who has a mic there? We'll start with Mike Gross here in the middle. Get a mic to Mike.
Mike to Mike. Mike. Can I drink this or is this just display?
That's for you to drink.
Okay. Yes. Sure.
No, I think just brought that over today.
This is a pop top. All right, let's go.
Hi, Andy. One thing we've heard James say a lot lately, and even some of the staff and some of the players have said, is last year we got away from getting the ball in the hands of the best players. In your experience, how does that happen, and how can that happen? And from your look at film and stuff, how did it happen here?
I can't speak to the past as much, you know what I mean? I'm not as familiar with the process. I can speak a little bit about maybe the process to getting the ball to your best players. I think first and most important step is identifying them. Sometimes there are very clear-cut, hey, this is the dude. Other times, reps and practice and things of that nature, it starts to unveil itself a little bit. So the identification process is really important. How we practice, the number of reps that we get allow us to feel really good about it, because we challenge our guys in the evaluation process. As a matter of fact, we just say, here's how you get the field, and the first thing is, to be able to consistently do what we're doing on practice. And if you can't do it over and over again, then that's the best indicator of how you do it. So it starts there with the identification, then figure out who those people are and what their skill sets are, right? What are their capabilities and what are their limitations? And then put them in position to do what they're capable of. And I know that sounds like, yeah, hey, thanks, but I mean, those are two really critical steps, or three really critical steps, and that you have to really, really reflect on a daily basis about what that looks like within your offense. And then, just maybe holistically speaking, you have to make sure that you're probably flexible enough on offense that however you identify those best players, maybe it's a running back, quarterback, tight end, whatever it is, okay, what parts of our offense need to grow and expand because this individual deserves more touches.
In the middle, Max.
Andy, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Doing well. I asked Tom the same thing, but your first chance to have the in-helmet microphones, who's wearing them for your offense, and what's the experience been like for you?
Yeah, I've been curious if anybody across the country on offense has some of their quarterbacks wearing. If anyone finds that answer, email him. It's been awesome. It's good to be able to have a direct line of communication to him and understand the little minute coaching points that you might make before a play. I think the challenge is, as coaches, is that you're not giving too much, right? You're talking too much to the quarterback and giving them, the play that we're going to run and why we're going to run it, and trusting that we've trained him the right way through the months and weeks that we get to prepare him. So it's been awesome. It's really good. We spend a lot less time worrying about how I communicate from the press box, the sideline, to the field. It's a very direct line. Obviously, you still need to have backups, things of that nature for that communication never breaks down. But we spend a lot of time, the NFL's been doing it for a long time, so we spend a lot of time talking to people who've done it there, been quarterbacks at that level, and their experience. So it's been cool. I like it.
Over here on the right, Bob.
Andy, how you doing?
Great.
I know you're a guy that knows a lot about the interior offensive line.
Can we just stop for a second? You're wearing a Buc-ee's hat.
There it is again.
You know what I'm saying?
It follows me everywhere.
I don't, you're not supposed to do that, I heard.
I heard that's from somebody else. I can't place his name, but I think it was James.
Did he say it too?
Yeah, you want to go to Buc-ee's? We can do it.
I've been to Buc-ee's. I understand. I appreciate it.
All right.
But, okay, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'm looking forward to it. You know offensive line football better than most, I think, from your background. Penn State's had two really good centers before this year in Juice and Hunter Norset. What can you tell us, and what have been your impressions of Nick Dawkins, who I think you guys kind of maybe expect to be that guy in the middle?
Yeah, so we have a couple guys on the interior that have done a really good job. Nick has been taking most of the reps there. Venga's been snapping the ball. Sal has been doing it, and then Ruli. And those guys have been snapping on a consistent basis for us. And Coach Trump's done a great job of working with them and kind of getting them squared away. I think when you look at football at most levels, it really is hard to feel like you got 15 linemen that are ready to play. And it's like if you look at the NFL, they got 7 or 8 guys on the roster, and then they have those three other guys, even these swing guys. But specifically to Dawkins, since you asked about him, he has done a fantastic job. And I will say this about Nick Dawkins, he is one of a kind. And I have coached long enough to know when you're interacting with a special person that's in their early 20s or late teens, and he is a special one. He is, if you guys ever get a chance to interact with him, his maturity, his authenticity, it just screams when you interact with him. And I tell our staff, I said, we can never take for granted the kind of leader and person he is, because he is rare. And because of that, you anticipate a guy like that being successful. You really, really do, because he has those characteristics.
On the right, Tyler.
Hey Andy, thanks for the time today. Staying on the offensive line, you now have Drew Shelton back in the fold. You didn't have him in your first 15 practices as the offensive coordinator here. So what are you seeing from Drew early on, and how are you managing, along with Phil, those two tackle spots where you've got to replace guys who performed at a very high level?
Okay, well, I'll tell you first that, even when individuals are hurt, you still can develop an impression of them. And Drew, as he, didn't go through spring, he's rehabbing, it's really fun to watch how he still stayed engaged and active in the whole process of learning. Either it might be a walkthrough or a meeting, and he handled that awesome, really, really well. So you could tell that he was gonna approach the position the right way. But he's had a really good camp. Today's the first day with pads on, but he's done a good job. We got really high expectations for him. And then Javen has done great, okay, at the tackle spot. And when I say this, we're really kind of cross-training all of our guys, so I don't get so stuck in on who's the left and who's the right, because we really want to make sure that we develop depth and diversity for them. And then Donka and Rooch, the four guys that have been taking a lot of reps throughout fall camp and the summer. Try to diversify them and be able to have different sides and flip. Trout's done, again, just like what I said with the centers, done a good job of managing, because there's a balancing act with the O-line that I really respect how Coach Trout, Coach Leonard, Queiser have all, they've done a good job of still making sure that they're mastering something, right? So like Drew's mastering left tackle, Javen's mastering left tackle, but they're getting enough reps at the other side that as the season unfolds and the pieces start to have to move for whatever reason, it's not like we're starting all over brand new, and we have some really good answers and some evidence to demonstrate that they can or can't do something.
In the front, right here, Greg.
Coach, as you guys get ready to put the pads on today, what have you liked about what you've seen from the receivers so far, and what do you want to see from them moving through the rest of camp?
They had a great practice the other day, like their competitiveness, right? We kind of talked as an offense, as a matter of fact, just this morning about how, what does it look like to compete out there, okay? And even if someone who doesn't know anything about wide receiver play, the ability to dictate the depth and the width of routes, to go take the ball, right? Not have those things dictated to you, not have a defensive back tell you where the route has to be run and how wide or how deep, but to push and fight and the physicality that even happens within route running. And especially our defense, we've got a great secondary, and then as aggressive and as physical as they will play for our receivers to make sure they go out there and match that. So I've seen those things. I've seen the commitment through spring and summer to develop their trade, their craft, and I'm excited for that group as we go into spring. Today will be a great day to see with the pads on.
The back center, Shane.
Hey, Coach. You have a chance to work with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. How excited are you to work with that group, and how does having two kind of #1 caliber running backs kind of unlock that creativity for you?
Well, in that room especially, you always want to feel like you got a group of guys that are able to perform at a high level, and those two names are very obvious. Going in, I'll tell you, Cam also had a really good fall camp. Quentin Martin, showed up in January, and he has been really, really good. Those four guys have been around, they're developed, because I'm bringing up Cam and Q, because, those guys have to develop and grow, right? And so to see Nick and Fat and how they have, how they grow and how they're still improving. And Coach Sider just said it the other day, he's like, it's really good for the Quentin Martins and the Cam Wallace world to recognize that Nick Singleton, as committed as he is to everything he's doing, and Katron, that they're still getting better. There's improvement that they're making through spring and fall camp, and they're understanding, and they're trying to diversify themselves. So you have this really competitive room But then to those two individually, my challenge to them has been, let's diversify ourselves. Let's figure out ways that you can touch the ball without just having to take a hand out. And I think they've done a really, really good job of that, embracing maybe the mental side of things and the technique side of things that needs to occur.
Got time for one more, in the middle, up front, Seth?
Hey, Andy, right here. James talked about the question mark that surrounds the receivers. Just, wondering your relationship with Marcus Higgins, how has that been throughout this process? How is he dealing with that pressure? And also the addition of Mark Dubois, how has that helped in that regard?
Well, when you're talking about the relationships with the staff, and I guess I would share this about all of them, I think it's really important that they understand that whatever challenges, obstacles, teaching, coaching, mentoring that they have to do within their position rooms, like I'm there to help. So if there's an issue, that issue is my issue, just as much as it is theirs. And it's not a finger point, it's never well, it's your guys that aren't doing this, or it's your guys that are, right? They're our guys, right? You know what I mean? So collectively, everyone has to understand that it's our football team, right? You know what I mean? You don't get to all of a sudden just decide when it's not going good that you can point the finger and say, well, you gotta get your guys right, right? And then all of a sudden they score a touchdown and our guys did great. They can't work like that. I think it starts there, specifically to the receiver room. So Duke, Higgins and David Parker are the three guys that are working in that room. I think they're doing a fantastic job of mentoring and challenging those guys to grow and being teachers, right? And everything that you think about being a good teacher, those guys are embodying and those guys are doing. It's a huge credit to them. I think the receiver room has developed a ton. The receivers have a great relationship with them, and I think they recognize, one of Coach Franklin's goals is as a team is that we're incredibly connected, right? And that we are truly a team. And I think that starts, because you brought up the relationship with the coach, I think that starts in staff rooms, and then it goes into the players, so player to player, coach to coach, coach to player, player to coach, player to coach. Right? I think that stuff's all happening, which is where growth can happen.
Thank you very much, Andy. We'll have Justin next.
That's quick, that was easy. Good. You guys have a good day.